Today on the podcast, we're talking about the University of Michigan. There are 187 Olympic medals tied to the University of Michigan. There are 8 athletes playing for Team USA from the University of Michigan. And then when you open it up to the wider world, there's a bunch more. And today we are talking to one of the coaches for the women's volleyball team for Team USA heading to Paris, and also the head coach for the women's volleyball team at the University of Michigan. We talk with Coach Erin Virtue. And as I said, it is my absolute honor to welcome to the podcast Coach Erin Virtue from the University of Michigan and, of course, the U.S. Olympic team. I don't know that I've ever been able to say that. So, Erin, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to represent both programs here on this podcast.
And congratulations on sweeping the Netherlands over the weekend. That was pretty fun. Where do we find you right now? Where are you in the world, given the fact that you're traveling everywhere?
So I'm out in Southern California, and we played 3 matches with the Netherlands just as tune-ups, getting ready with Team USA for the Olympics. We leave on the 20th, so it's coming up pretty fast.
So, Coach, what happened? One of the fascinating things for me when we're talking about high-level athletes and high-level coaches is obviously this is a tune-up this weekend. How do you master that timing to make sure that they peak in both places, right? Because you don't want them to have a bad outing this weekend, and then you certainly obviously don't want to have a bad outing in the, talk to me about that timing, because that stuff fascinates me.
Yeah, I think it's, as coaches and team, we sit down and it's just about framing whatever it is your preparation looks like. And our men's national team trains with us, and their preparation looks a little different based on their personnel and what they need. And for us, we have a really hard time just narrowing down our team. Our depth in our women's gym is really deep. And so we did that in mid-June, and we just needed more matches with our Olympians playing together against opponents. And framing that is really important, understanding that yes, we want to win every match and every set we play, even if it's a friendly scrimmage. But also we're trying to work on things. Our first opponent in the Olympic Games is going to be China. And so there's certain things we're trying to focus on that we're working on to defeat China, even though we're playing the Netherlands and Serbia, who's our second opponent. So framing that and understanding the goals of each match and each practice you have is really a big part of that process.
So, Coach, let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously it is an honor to talk to a gold medalist. Is it, and this might be a completely stupid question, so I apologize, but is it more difficult to get up for the second Olympic? What's you obviously won a gold medal in probably what will be known as one of the oddest Olympics in the history of the Olympics. But here we are, you're back again, going at another run. What is that? Does that preparation, is it different? Is it harder? What is the preparation like once you've already gotten a gold medal and now you're going after a second one?
And so in Tokyo, that was the women's first gold medal. And so going after anything for the first time, it has its own joy and its own kind of pursuit. And now we're trying to go after it a second time in a row. So with a lot of returners, but also some newbies. And so every experience is quite different. We get to have family and friends come and be with us on this journey, both as a wonderful thing and also, to manage the distraction of that and just the hoopla that is around the games. And so our team is really eyes wide open going into that. It's a little different than Tokyo when there was no fans. So for us, I think it brings a lot of excitement. Certainly for my second Olympics, it's an exciting chance to have kind of a totally different experience.
Anything that you read about you, the number one thing that comes up again and again and again and again is your ability to connect with the athletes. They say that over and over and over and again. And I'm wondering, you've been on this incredible ride, which I do want to talk about here in a second, but I want to specifically dial in on that sort of self-awareness and how you connect with these athletes. Where did that come from, and how did you dial? I mean, if you go all the way back to 2011, they're talking about it, right? And so here we are 14, 15 years later, and they're still saying it. So this is one of your superpowers. And how, as a coach, how did you develop that? How did you know that was the angle to kind of get the best out of these athletes? Because there's a million ways, as you know, more than I do, how to coach human beings. But this is the way that you went. What was the path to that?
Well, I mean, it's awesome that that's what you're hearing. And to me, that's where the joy lies, is when I can connect with people. I love being part of a team. I always have. I never, as an athlete growing up, I was never an individual sport type person. I love the camaraderie that's teams, both team of a staff and team of athletes, whether I'm part of an athlete staff or a staff as an adult now. So that's just where I get my joy. I love connecting with people. I love to see what it is they want out of their journey. It's one of my favorite things about recruiting too, is just looking at young athletes and what is it that you want and how can I help you get there? And to me, the teamwork of that is, I'm from a huge family, so it's part of that too, of just, doing it with people is just a lot more fun for me.
Now, I've heard this said on more than one occasion as human beings interview you, certainly in your sport. They say that no one works harder than you. And I won't, obviously, that is something that is hard to argue, so I'm not even going to argue with that. I'm going to go the other way, because I haven't heard anyone ask you this, because you barely mention in a couple interviews that there is some downtime. What is it, Erin, that you do to relax and unplug? What's the thing that you do?
Yeah, I really enjoy reading, and I know it's probably a boring thing, but for me, it's if I'm spending time with people, and I'm always trying to choose, who I'm spending my time with outside of the job, but for me, I love diving into a good book, and typically there's a lot of nonfiction in there that's going to help me grow as a person and as a coach. But then getting into a good fiction book, it's a nice way to kind of escape and get into a new world. And our athletes on the national team, because we're traveling all the time, the staff and the athletes are reading a lot. And so we're passing around different books. So all sorts of different genres. But for me, just kind of diving into another world is a nice way to just kind of pause on the mindset and get into a bit more of a creative zone for me.
All right, let's get back to Paris. Obviously, as you said, the first match is against China. It's going to be on the 29th, 11 o'clock here in the States. What are your thoughts on, obviously, no game plan giving away, right? But what are your thoughts on that matchup? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Pool A and then heading towards the second U.S. gold medal?
Yeah, China is a tough opponent to start out with. I mean, they beat us earlier this summer. They've always been an opponent that we've had just good battles with. They have a phenomenal middles. They're really good in reception, so we have to serve tough and things that we're planning to. It's part of our DNA and our game, but definitely some game planning that's very specific to China. And they couldn't be more different than our second opponent that we played 2 days later. So really game strategizing with our team already in practice as soon as last week. Once we got our pools, we are very specifically tactically looking forward to playing both of those two teams. They have dynamic people that we have even practice players come in to simulate some of the things that both China and Serbia do. Not that we're overlooking France. They're just our third opponent in that pool, and we have 3 days between to prepare for France. And they'll bring a lot. That's a team. This program, our USA program, has only played France one time in the history of Karchkrai being the head coach. So it's a team we played this summer, and they'll be excited to play on their home turf. So the goal in the pool is to take top two, and so certainly focusing on the first two matches and getting a win in one of those is a big key to our progress to the quarterfinal.
Quick break in the action to let you know that you can check out Coach Erin Virtue and the Michigan Wolverine volleyball team this fall. Experience game day and check out elite Big Ten volleyball action and support the Maize and Blue. And the best part is tickets start at just $6. It's a great way to get together with friends and family, support the Maize and Blue, and you can get started at mgoblue.com. And while you're there, you can check out photos of the team, promotional materials, and of course, buy your tickets for game day at mgoblue.com. That's mgoblue.com. Now back to the interview. All right, and let's switch gears a little bit here. Obviously, head coach of the University of Michigan, you're heading into your second season, so there will be no reading between the Olympics and the start of the second season, I imagine. What is that transition like? I know you're not there yet, but that seems like. And I know everyone says that no one works harder than you, so I'm sure this is stuff that you're built to do. But what is that transition like for you? And as fans, what can we expect in this second season as you under the head coach?
Yeah, well, it's such an exciting time. We have all of our team on campus now, or we have 7 newcomers coming in, and we have 1 transfer, 6 freshmen, and so it's really about getting the team organized and getting to know one another. We have 10 returners, 7 new people. Our staff is now, it's not just me going to my second year, our whole staff is. And so making sure everybody's on the same page with how we want to start this season and how we wanted to leave things in the spring. Volleyball is a unique one with just like any other fall sport. We don't get to train our team in the summer. So where we left things in April, I left things with our leadership committee. We have 3 wonderful leaders on this team of the returning 10, and they're really in charge of kind of managing open gyms and assimilating the rookies and the newcomers to what is the culture of Michigan volleyball. What kind of things can they expect August 7th when the team sits down and meets for the first time? The earliest day that if USA plays through to the gold medal match, we'll be traveling back on the 12th. So I'll miss those first 5 days of some practice tune-ups and meetings. But those are organized, and I have a wonderful staff to be able to implement those in training and help knock the rust off. So, I hope to hit the ground running with the girls on the 13th when I'm back and have meetings with them. And we will play a week later against Pitt in an exhibition match. So I think that's going to be just an exciting time for us. Fans will be excited to see some returners, some ones that weren't healthy last year that are now. Allison Jacobs certainly is a key to that as our captain and someone that missed last season with an injury. And then coming back with 7 very exciting newcomers that I'm excited to see what they can do and how quickly they assimilate to the group.
Coach, I will let you go because you obviously have a million things to do. But before I do, can you give us a sense of kind of the insider's perspective of what, and I know you were at the non-fan Olympics, right? But like you've got a sense that we don't have. What's the tempo? What's the pace like for a coach when you've got 2 days off, 3 days off? Like, how do you manage the time within the games to make sure that everybody has what they want? And more importantly, like you're able to keep your energy up to keep them going. Talk to us about the stuff that we don't see on TV.
Yeah. The rhythm of the Olympic Games is very similar to any other tournament that we have for us. And really, you have a match, in between matches, you have practice, you have rest, recovery. Athletes will have some massage, some things that just get their bodies fresh for the next day. And then there's a ton of game planning. So we're scouting, we're watching video. As a coach, I'm in front of my computer 90% of the time that I'm not on the court with the team. There's just a ton of game planning, trying to fine tune, trying to get one more point out of your match, the next match that you have. Certainly watching video of yourself where your team could have been better, but it's a lot of preparing for the next opponent. And, we want to for sure carve out time where we can walk around the Olympic Village and, enjoy being part of Team USA. We'll try to go to this Olympics. I think we're going to try to have our team go to another event, either men's volleyball, beach volleyball, or just some other sport, because you're part of Team USA and we didn't get a chance to do that in Tokyo, go to another sport. And so we'll have time with some friends and family and carve that out because they'll be there and we want to share those experiences. But it's a lot of business, it's a lot of road trip business that we're normally used to. One of our other staff members, it's her first Olympics, and she's like, Erin, what do I pack? And I'm like, it's just really the same stuff as you're packing if we're going to any other tournaments. So, there's the Olympics and you'll get Nike and Ralph Lauren and we'll have lots of fun gifts that we'll get, but it's just the same kind of, we always wear a red polo and a white polo and a blue polo at every game. So it's a pretty cool business trip and a very, very cool experience. And just the chance to be part of something big like Team USA is a real honor for everyone that goes along on the trip.
Coach, this has been an absolute honor. I wish you the best in Paris and then, of course, in the coming school year at the University of Michigan. Have an awesome trip, and I would love to talk to you at the end of the season. We can talk about how things went.
Love that. Thanks for having me.